What's going on? We're here at the Amanda Seals Show, and it is time for why are you bringing up ish with our resident smart girl, black woman, smart black woman, black historian, blisstorian, if you will, Miss Kimberly Renee.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me today.
Ah, always a pleasure, a pleasure.
Yes. So let's jump straight in. Today we are we're still in that series talking about political violence. And we're in Louisiana, Reconstruction era. The state has
Okay,
recently concluded its highly contested 1872 race for governor between two white men. Those
okay.
white men were William Pitt Kellogg, the Liberal Party. And I'm saying this because back then we know the Democrats and Republicans were different.
Right.
So I'm going to say Liberal Party so people don't get
What
confused.
made them liberal back then?
So I don't know that answer in 5 minutes in order to give it to you. But
Okay.
I will say that it was about policy. So at some point there were Black people who let me start again. So there was one point where the fusion party was formed when
Mm,
the Democrats, I believed, joined with another organization. They created the fusion party, and then that's at the moment at which they switched. But I'm not an expert on that. Ask me that next week, and I'll be able to give you some more deets.
okay.
So William Pitt Kellogg, Liberal Party, Progressive Party, versus John McEnery, Conservative Party. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the Liberal Party had won narrowly, and the white conservative folks were very upset about that. Because here's the thing,
Hmm.
their last governor was a Black man. Okay. So they were already a little upset. Now, by the end of what we're going to talk about today, 150 Black people would have been killed in their revenge plot. So let's talk about what they did.
Okay.
So this is called the Colfax massacre. Now, the white conservatives wanted control of the state per usual. And as I said, the Louisianans were a little bit frustrated because they had just recently had a Black governor and now they have more liberals in office. Now, that Black governor was actually the first Black governor of any state in the United States. His name was Pinckney Benton Stewart Pinchback, or PBS Pinchback, first Black man to be governor of any state. Now, on March 28th, 1873, so 4-ish months after the election, the gubernatorial election, the white local conservative government leaders called for armed support to help them take over the Colfax Parish courthouse from the liberals. They wanted to take it from the liberals. Now, the liberals were like, we need help. Black people, can you
Hmm.
help us? And so they reached out and said,
Yes.
well, can you come support us? And so they were like, cool, we got you. So now we've got this Black militia versus this white militia. It's
Oh,
about
so they were black
40-ish.
militias.
Yes, yes, they came armed. And so they came together and there was fighting,
A
but it was
tussle.
kind of equal. It was a tussle. 40 people ish about each side. So it was kind of
Okay.
even for a little while. But then the white folks said we need more people on our team. They called in reinforcements. And so on April 13th, Easter Sunday, they called on the White League, the Knights of the White Camilla, the Klan. And so now they're 300 deep and they're attacking the courthouse. They even got a cannon. They shoot
Wha-
that cannon off, a cannon. Yes, they shoot the cannon off into the courthouse. And the Black folks, remember, it went about 40 or 50 of them. They
Yeah.
were like, okay, this ain't it. So half of them
Y'all
left,
got it.
the,
Right.
the other half surrendered. And that what really set the white militia off was the fact that the white militia actually ended up shooting their own leader. And so that
Mm.
made them upset and they started shooting everybody. So everybody, black people, all the black people who were prisoners in the courthouse, the black militia, and Black people minding their business. Long story short, by the end of this, the Vicksburg massacre, about 150 people died. I read something in a newspaper that said when the state troops arrived by boat, they got off the boat and the white militia said, "Do you want to see some dead N-words? Because we got about 100 of them." And so they ended up not taking over the courthouse in the sense of like the um, government ended up switching. So it
Mhm.
wasn't a coup d'état, but a lot of people died as they were
Yeah.
fighting for their right to having a place or being represented in
Mhm.
in legislation.
Of course, none of these people were tried.
Honestly, they were. But guess what happened?
Oh.
Guess what happened? So there were a series of acts that were introduced called the Enforcement Acts. They were
Mhm.
specifically for to regulate the Klan. There were like three
Mhm.
sets of acts that were passed in Congress. It's like y'all can't keep gathering to intimidate black folks.
Mhm.
And then they went to the Supreme Court and was like, "Oh, that's unconstitutional." And it got kicked out. So all the people who were arrested and in jail for for
It was
resisting.
unconstitutional. Wait,
Yes.
it was unconstitutional
It was unconstitutional for them to restrict the Klan.
because of their First Amendment rights?
So you got to look up the US Supreme Court versus, I don't even know how to say this, Cruikshank. And that Supreme Court case ruled that the Enforcement Acts or the Ku Klux Klan Acts were actually unconstitutional. The Klan Acts were meant to restrict the Klan and keep them from suppressing people's rights to vote and being and intimidating them and keeping Black people from holding their place.
How
But yeah,
is that unconstitutional? They should not, no one should be able to do that.
nobody should. Nobody should.
But then that's what they were doing on many levels. Like they were doing that with violence, but then they wanted the states to be able to do that with things like these BS poll taxes and BS poll
Yes.
quizzes, etc.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for bringing up Ish. It's always a fun time. That's why you do have the disposition you have, because you always bringing bad news when it, well, bad history.
I try not
It's
to, but we're in this series, so I try
we're
not to,
in
but we're in
it.
this series. We're gonna get
No,
it.
and I think that the reality though is that even when it's good news, it's like it's so couched in always having to overcome and to be
Yes.
the in spite of, etc. So that's something that's always conscious, but it's always important that we acknowledge it because it hasn't ended. I mean, it's still present, and so we got to continue to acknowledge it until it is no longer. So thank you for always bringing up Ish with your soft spoken disposition.
For sure.
Yes. You can check out more Kimberly Renee at Kimberly Renee on Instagram and on her Patreon. So make sure you subscribe. I think I referred people to your Patreon on my
I think you
Patreon.
did. I think you did.
Yes. So
Thank you.
shout out to everybody who went over there because I told you go over there. All right. We'll be right back to the Amanda Seales Show. We up.